Hi, and welcome to episode 5 of Alice Chin's podcast. Alice, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? I heard you had a pretty hectic morning.
Yeah, I went. The only thing that happened right was I was able to go to the laundromat and get dry cleaners. Oh my gosh, I'm losing it already. See, the day's already getting ahead of me. So my water heater broke. So that was the first thing that happened to me this morning.
Terrible. Yep.
Not a good day to start a cold shower. Even though I know that Iceman, there's an Iceman Hoffman. Have you ever heard of that guy?
No,
That Hoff? Yeah, he does. Takes ice baths, but it was it's supposed to be really good for you. But I hate cold water because when I was a little kid, I was in swimming, and our coach would turn down the water in the pool
Temperature.
turn the temperature down really, really low. So it just bugged me.
Oh no.
Post-traumatic stress from that.
Well, hopefully the rest of your day goes better.
Yeah, well, of course, because I'm with you.
Oh,
right? Okay, so today we are talking about 2010. So This is episode 5. We're talking about 2010.
Yep.
Let's rewind. Let's go back in time to that year. What happened in 2010 for Alice Chin?
Yeah, so 2010, where I was building my team. So a continuation of the last episode. I was just starting to build my team. I hired the right admins, a couple of the right admins. And I had started adding agents as well to the team. And I was still kind of getting my feet wet, even though it sounds a little funny 5 years in, but I was. And I think 2010 was a pivotal year for me because of a couple of things. One, when I look back at my client list from that year, there were a lot of good, what I call like foundation stones that were set. So that's the year that I started seeing clients refer to me. Friends and family started seeing that, she's been doing this now for about 5 years. I think maybe we could try to work with her, Classmates, high school classmates and friends started trusting in me as well. And I also started doing relocation, which was a big deal back then.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because you had to have a certain number of years of experience, transactional experience, to even be qualified for relocation. Yep. Okay. And then I still did a lot of things that I probably wouldn't take on today. So I'll give you a couple examples. Rentals, very tough transactions. Short sales were still very popular, as we talked about. And I was really getting, I guess my experience in short sales. So I was really doing a lot of those, like I said, relocation transactions, and just learning a lot in the process.
Yeah, I was going to ask because the 2008 was the hot year in a bad way, right?
Correct.
The hot year where it really tested a lot of people in the business.
Absolutely.
And so you learned a very niche product, which is short sales. And now it's kind of transitioning into, okay, now I got to reinvent myself to figure out what other niche I'm going to get into, because that was kind of landing in the industry, right?
Correct. Yep.
So so you went into relocation. That's interesting. I didn't realize that you had to have some type of
you had to have seasoning experience, and then also you had to attend relocation training. You had to be a certified relocation consultant, essentially. Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I actually just had a call from a client that's relocating from Florida up to Michigan. Oh, so yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
But he moves every 2 years, so it's a great business for somebody that's in your field. So
it's a great area of business to get into, to kind of build your database again and build your client list. It's not super profitable because I don't know what you've heard, Bill, about relocation, but you do pay hefty referral fees to the relocation company. And then at the time, I was with Coldwell Banker, and at the time there was a relocation department actually up at the corporate office, and I think it was in Northbrook. Okay, it is still in Northbrook, I think. And so then they obviously took a cut too, right? So then at the end of the day, I think we ended up getting, I want to say, less than 50%. I mean, it was. Oh wow! It was a really big haircut. Yeah. Yep. So, but again, the reason I took those deals wasn't because of the money, really. It was so that I could gain experience, get clients. I didn't have to proactively lead generate for these clients, right? And then I was hoping that then they would have a great experience, a wonderful, amazing experience, that then they would tell their friends and family about me. Yep. And then if they ever moved again, they would use me again, that sort of thing.
And that's such sound advice for people that are new in the industry. You kind of have to think of it this way: is that the experience that you have, even though you're getting paid less, is more of a priceless kind of act because of the fact that it's gonna develop your business.
True. Yeah. I considered it like the price of like an additional education, right?
Right,
Because I was
exactly.
learning, like how a relocation transaction works from end to end, whether it's a buyer or a seller. Those two are very, very different actually. And so then I was able to apply that later on, even if I wasn't representing the relocation transferee, right? But like, let's say the seller was a transferee, right? And I was representing the buyer. I could then explain to my client, okay, this is how it's going to go. This is how it's going to work. So that
great.
they understand the process a little bit better. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. What, so was it you that found the relocation company, or like you said, was it through corporate?
No, it was through Coldwell Banker.
Okay.
Yeah. So Coldwell Banker, that was one of the great things about being there, is that they basically let you know once you had enough experience and that you had an opportunity and qualified, right? And then they would tell you, okay, this is the up and coming training session. You must attend it. It was, I think, like 2 or 3 days of intense training in classroom.
Gotcha.
And then that's how they notified you. And then you would be on the list. For relocation to be available. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, I think people that are maybe new to the industry on both sides, on the lending side and also the real estate side, don't really realize, okay, so I'm just getting into finance or I'm getting into real estate, but they don't know that there's different niches that you could
100%.
really master, and you mastered that once again. Ours would be, I would compare it to like being in new construction, like with building.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to figure out that, and there's not just, you don't just go out there and talk to a builder and say, hey, I'd like to get your business. They're like, there's 20 of you that come through our doors because you know it's a pot of gold.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Totally.
So you have to either get lean on your price, and then you have to have pretty good products to offer with that. So
correct. Yes.
What did Coldwell Banker do that allowed them to get into that niche?
I think it was just the infrastructure that they had set up with a corporate office. So there was a relocation transferee like contact or consultant at corporate for each file.
Okay.
And so then that would be my contact person, I would very rarely reach out to the actual relocation company. Usually it was a third party relocation company. And then a lot of times they would be the ones that would also transfer the utilities, once the transferee, if they had a buyout or they moved, that sort of thing.
Right.
So they were a go-between and they were an intermediary, but they were pretty important actually.
Right. Yeah. That's good. So you got your traction, you got your wheels going.
I got my traction, got my wheels going. And then at that time too, I was one of my first mentors. I was studying under him. Basically, he had been in the business at that time for at least, I want to say at least 15 years. And he had developed a very, very good relationship with a prominent builder in the area. And then also he had an endless amount of knowledge about not just residential, but about not only new construction, but about, really commercial real estate, kind of like REITs. Literally his knowledge really blew my mind at the time. So I knew that, again, getting an education, right? Not getting paid, but at least learning things, right? I just knew that if I aligned myself, or if I was lucky enough to get some pebbles, or fruit falling from the tree, that I would, 1, learn a lot, and then 2, possibly then down the line, gain additional opportunities. Yeah. And so I was lucky enough that he did see me as a go-getter, and that, I was hungry and I really wanted to learn. Yeah. So he let me do some open houses actually at a brand new condo building in downtown Naperville. Okay. And there were only probably a dozen units. It was a luxury condo building.
Is that the one that's just... is it on Washington?
It's on Washington. Yeah, it's the Wavy building.
Really?
It's got the Wavy building with the
yes.
underground garage. And so, so I remember sitting those open houses and being bored out of my mind. I mean, literally out of my gourd. Yeah. And thinking like, what have I done? I'm just sitting here rotting away like for several hours. Nobody's coming through.
Yeah.
Or like just looky-loos, people who are nosy, right?
Sure. Oh yeah, yeah. They're like everybody was interested about that building because it went up. It was right downtown in the middle of Naperville.
Yep. So I actually got one successful sale. That's all you need, right?
You just need one.
So I got one sale. A buyer walked in. She was interested. You know, I showed her a couple of the units available. I set up a meeting with a builder, and that was it. Yep.
So did you know that she was the buyer
No.
at that time?
No idea.
Because I'm always curious, like when you sit in open houses, and right now it's kind of pretty heavy flow
It's
with
pretty
regards
heavy,
to
yeah.
with regards to buyers coming through. So I'm always going, who's going to be the buyer here?
Yeah.
And you see people that are the tire kickers. Oh, yeah, we're neighbors that just came from next door. You know that one's not going to happen.
Oh, for sure.
But neighbors do sell homes too. But
They do, yeah.
At the same time, most of the time that's not going to be the case.
It's
They're just
looky-loos, yeah. So, and especially, I mean, now things have changed in the industry, but like back then, we didn't have to have buyer rep agreements. So anybody could just walk in and just be curious. But it was an open house actually for the whole building. So not just for like one unit in the building.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, it was a lot of hours for that one sale. But that's okay. Yeah, I learned a lot.
And what was the sale price of that?
It was like $800,000.
That's
Back then,
worth it.
That was a big chunk of change.
2010, 800,000.
I mean, that was.
It's good. So that was a huge deal. So you
That was a huge
realized
deal
really
for me,
quickly that
yeah.
time is a good thing
It's
for
a
you
good
to
thing,
kind of sit
yeah.
in and wait at the open houses.
Yep. And then kind of speaking again, kind of going along with that topic about my first mentor, one of my first mentors. So he was kind of transitioning, not out, I wouldn't say out of the business. He was getting into a different type of business. And so he wasn't spending as much time on real estate. So again, he was seeing that I could be trusted, that I was willing to work hard. And so then he was taking me and pulling me into more and more things. And so one of the things that he decided to entrust me with, which at the time, I had no idea the gravity of it, right? Is he basically stated to me that he entrusted in me to list a really, really large home. Do you know where Stonebridge is in Aurora? Okay.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was my largest listing and sale. Okay. So I think when we first listed it, there was no private listing network. There was no any of this. There was no PLN. So you just activated it. I want to say when we first activated it, it was high for sure because the seller wanted to, see what he could get. I want to say we started at like 2.7 or 2.8 million.
Oh.
So for 2010, Alice Chin, okay, this was like a huge, huge deal, obviously. Like earth-shattering.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I remember thinking to myself, like, how am I gonna do this, right? And I'm not saying that my mentor wasn't there, but he wasn't. Like his attention was diverted, right?
Yeah.
And so I was very nervous. I leaned a lot, not only on him, but on my managing broker at the time. Okay. And I think overall I did a pretty good job, but 2010, that year sticks out in my mind because that is also the year where I did sell it, but that is the year that I actually went to arbitration for the first time.
Okay.
In my career, yes.
Wow.
Over that house, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, can we talk about that?
Oh, of course,
okay,
yeah.
well, let's talk about that. What happened?
So basically what happened was this listing, as you can imagine, there's no lockbox. So luxury listings, we show one-on-one, right? Private showings. And then the buyers
you can't just have anybody walk through that, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
and the buyers have to be vetted, meaning they have to either be able to show pre-qualification or pre-approval or proof of funds. Okay.
Right.
So these buyers did, okay? And I was there for the showing, and their agent, I put it in quotes, their agent, from what I remember, could not be there for some reason, okay? And at the time, I thought, well, I have to be there anyways. I don't want to lose a showing. It's a qualified buyer. Let's just show it. Okay. Got the okay from the seller, so I showed it. And it's it was a big house. So, I mean, it was probably a 2-hour showing, an hour and a half at least.
Yeah. Wow.
Then they came back a second time. And I'm pretty sure the second time the agent also was not there. Okay.
Huh.
So then I was like, okay, again, I don't want to prevent somebody from showing or buying the house. So I show it to them again. Then when it came time to draft the offer, right, I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, right? And so what the buyer ended up doing is they ended up having an attorney draft the offer. And then they slapped their agent's name on the last page. Never met this agent, never talked to this person really, she never showed it, And so again, I talked to my managing broker at the time. She was just like, you know what, you represent the seller. You have to remember who you represent. Present the offer, see if you can even get it together, right? Like there was definitely a difference in price and terms. And she says, and then we'll worry about it later. Right? Okay. And I said, okay.
Did you actually talk to the agent? I mean, you didn't see her.
I didn't see her.
Or see her, he or whoever.
Yeah.
But did you never talk to him?
Not really. No.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was very bizarre.
The plot thickens.
Yeah, very bizarre.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was because the buyer just thought that like it would be better that way or they could get a better deal. You know how some people think that like,
right.
Yeah. And then we just like add her in later? I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
So then we did get it together contractually, and like I said, the other attorney drafted the offer, et cetera. And then it was my first experience in this price point, obviously. And so there were a lot of things that I had never experienced. So like tax prorations, for example, right? The attorneys had a very long conversation, very detailed, about how the tax prorations were going to go. It wasn't just the simple like, 105 or 100, it was very complicated.
Yeah.
And they wrote a whole full agreement as to how
on the tax prorations.
Just on tax prorations. Yep.
Okay.
Then there was a full addenda, multiple pages of personal property. And so it was the first time that I was selling a house of this magnitude. So I had no idea that of course, a house at this price point would have pages and pages of personal property, right? That what's staying, what's going, et cetera.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So then we fast forward, we end up closing. Okay. So let's back up a little bit. There was an inspection. There was actually a second inspection that the agent was not there. I was there because we had to be there. So we were there for both inspections, which totaled probably close to 10 hours because the house was large. Mm-hmm. Final walkthrough. There was a final walkthrough, of course. And then there was the closing. Okay. The agent really wasn't there for any of it except for the closing. Shows up for the closing. Does not get paid at the closing because we knew, on our side at least, that we had an objection,
Yeah.
And so then when at closing, the agent was like, well, what do you mean? My brokerage isn't getting paid. My managing broker stepped in and said, well, we're going to be taking you to arbitration, or, if you want it. Back in the day, it was if you had a disagreement, they had to file the arbitration, if that makes sense, because they're the ones who felt like they should have been paid and they weren't, right? Or compensated and they weren't.
Right.
So that was something else I learned during that time period, is that it's not the person, it wasn't us that filed, it was the other,
Right.
Even though we were holding the money in escrow, if that makes sense. So then fast forward, they did file. So you have, back then, and I think it's still the same thing, you have up to 6 months, 180 days after the closing to file. And so they did. They filed and then took us to arbitration. And so then so arbitration is very similar to a court of law. So you get advance notice. It's not like it happens right away after they file. The date is usually set for several months ahead of time. And then you also choose your panel. So it's manager brokers on both sides, the agent on both sides, and then there's a panel of your peers. Mm-hmm. So it is like a jury of fellow realtors. And then you get a list of potential panelists to go over and review, and you can object to any of them. Like, I don't know, if you had a personal issue with one of them, you could say, well, I don't want them on my panel. And so I went through all of that. I was still pretty new. I didn't really object to any of them, Mm-hmm. And so I didn't have any objections. We went. My mentor could not be there on that day, which is fine, And then my client also, so there was another time that I learned that your client can be a witness.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So they could either show up and and you can prep them too, right? And say like, this is what, we're going to say, and this is what they're probably going to say. And these are the questions they may ask you. And from what I remember, he couldn't be there, the client, but he was able to write like a letter or like an email. Yeah. And so then I was able to present that as evidence,
Wow.
So then I prepped for many weeks, if not months, kind of just going through my emails, going through my file. Like, I remember this was back in the day where we had physical paper files.
Yeah.
And so I had an accordion. You're going to laugh, Bill. I had an accordion file and I made labels, like sections of like, exhibit A and exhibit B. I mean, I was nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
took it very seriously because I felt like it truly wasn't about the money. I felt like it was the principle of it.
Sure.
And it was actually kind of funny now that I think about it, because it wasn't about the money, because I was sharing the money, whatever it is that we gained, I was sharing a lot of it with Coldwell Banker and also with my mentor. Like, I wasn't getting the lion's share of it anyways. It was purely principle, because I had worked on everything and poured my heart and soul into it.
Right, right.
So the day came and went. And before I tell you like kind of how it ended up, my managing broker said to me beforehand, Alice, I have to warn you, like, most arbitrations are all or nothing, right? And so if they may reach out before the arbitration date to try to mediate and try to come to some sort of settlement or agreement beforehand. And I said, okay, sure. And so they did. They reached out beforehand and they wanted to, I forget if they wanted to split it or they wanted to get like 75% and 25%. And I just said, no, like, I don't feel like you deserve much of it at all, right?
Yeah.
And so then she said, okay, but just warning you that it's usually all or nothing, right? There's not usually like at arbitration, after arbitration, they say, oh, well, you just split it 50-50, right? It's usually 100%, 0%. And I said, okay.
Okay. Wow. So you were going all or nothing.
I was all going all or nothing. Yeah. In my mind. So then the result came out and it was a very peculiar conclusion because I remembered what my managing broker had said, all or nothing, right? So they had determined, it was so unusual. They had said basically that their decision was to give us some obscure number, like 87 point whatever percent.
Interesting.
And then the other side got like 12%, something like that. And I was very happy. I was very happy because I felt it was fair, right? And justified. And my managing broker at the time.
Did the other realtors show up to the arbitration? Because since they didn't show up any other time, I'm curious.
I think they did. I think they did.
I would think that they would have
but they
to
didn't
if
really
they wanted
have
money.
Yeah,
right?
but they didn't have like really a case. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Okay.
So
just
strange.
Curious.
Yeah,
just
so
curious.
strange. And then again, because we didn't have signed buyer rep, it wasn't a requirement at the time. So like procuring cause was more difficult, I feel, to prove, especially without any sort of formal documentation of your agency relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I was pretty happy, because I felt like it was justified,
Right.
But my managing broker, I remember her being very surprised. Like, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Ever. And she had been, in the business for, 20 years at that time.
Wow.
I want to say, yeah.
So you showed her something new.
I did. I know. I was surprised.
By the way, who was your mentor? Can you?
Yeah. I'm still really good friends with him. Vic Nickel is his name.
Oh yeah.
So, he's been really, really great. Really great. I mean, I think he moved down to Florida. He's there now. I think he's still in real estate, like part-time or just,
I mean, it's just a cool name too. It's got to be a real estate name, right? Vic Nickel. Just like Alice Chen. Those are awesome names. Wish I had those names, but I don't. Well, cool. So was that what time in the year was that? Was that the beginning of the year, middle,
That
late?
was probably when the transaction happened. I want to say it was in the spring or early summer. And then when we went to arbitration, it was definitely fall. It was like October.
Yeah. Wow.
It was
so you earned your keep
months.
there, huh?
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah. So
and so that was your biggest sale at that time.
at that time, yeah.
And
it was my biggest sale for quite some time, actually.
Yeah. That's a hard record to break.
That's
right
a
there.
hard, ceiling.
When you said it was pivotal, was it that piece right there that was kind of said, okay, now I earned some stripes here in the industry. Now I've proven I got some strength here to
100%
win a case, sell my biggest deal. I mean, it's just
It was a lot of tough lessons, and not really due to anybody's fault. Like I don't want anybody to misunderstand that I blame anybody for this.
Sure.
It was just things that happened, right? Circumstances, and then I got put in a certain situation, and then I'm a firm believer, even to this day, like how you handle those situations and how you overcome them. It really then shows who you are and helps you grow as a person. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the moral of the story is if you're an agent out there and you're a buyer's agent and it's 2.7 million, show up.
I mean, probably show up maybe. I don't know.
That's the first thing. My
So
brother would
strange.
always say this. He would always say this when I was working for him. He'd say, look, you make good money, so you need to put your blood, sweat, and tears into what you do.
Absolutely.
So to me, to not show up at a big property like that, knowing that you have a buyer and you're going to put a deal together, I don't get that.
I don't understand. Yeah,
what are you
me
gonna do?
Neither. Yeah.
I'm sure that person's not in the industry anymore, but
I don't know. I haven't looked. Yeah, to be honest.
might be. I'm curious. We won't mention names, but so you did say that you started hiring on people, right?
I did. Yeah, I started hiring on people, and then I would say 2010, 2011. 2010 was also pivotal because that's the year that I started adding like agents too. And that's during the time where I would consider like my first phase of like building my team because I had administrative support, but I didn't really have agents yet, right? And so then I added 3 or 4 agents that year.
3 in 2010.
Yep.
Okay. Was that in the beginning of the year or
I think it was throughout the year. It wasn't like all at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was kind of spread out.
So I know you went through a really extensive hiring process. You built that. Was it the same thing with the agents, or how'd you hire on agents?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Unfortunately, not. I was not as organized as far as agents go, and I was too focused, I think, on like in the business and like on the admins. Like once I got that kind of solidified, right, I was like, you know what? I just need bodies, which was not recommended. Okay, not a good idea. And so I was like, I just need agents to take some of this off of my plate.
Right.
And I didn't really, at the time, I didn't really vet them. I just saw them in the office. They were already in the office,
Right.
And they were solo agents. And I thought, you look good. Well, you just join my team.
Yeah.
Great idea, right? Like, no vetting. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
We're partnering. And that's something I remember you saying before, too.
Gosh,
you partnered up with people. So this is another
This is another thing that, again, now looking back, like, oh my gosh, Alice, like, what in the world? So yeah, I added these agents and I was just like, we get along, we're friendly in the office. It'll be fine. It'll all work out, right? And so then, and I had no idea what I was doing. So I added them. And then the structure back then was not a good structure, Bill. So like when you think about business structure, right? It has to make sense financially, and it has to make sense like your work values should match, right? And be aligned. And I would say the structure at that time did not make any fiscal sense whatsoever, meaning the splits that the agents were getting on my team were insane. They were like 75, 80%. And it was like, this doesn't make sense. Why? Yeah, it made 0 sense. And so, but the problem was I was so desperate for help, right? That I didn't care if it made sense because then it took stress and things off of my plate that I just didn't want anymore.
I can appreciate that. that's kind of where we're at right now too.
Yeah.
So.
And I was focused on the wrong things. I was focused on like, well, I just want to build my numbers up. I just want to like my image to be like the best and number one. And I was not focused on the right internal things, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we ran that for a while, actually. So we'll get into it later, but yeah, that team structure, that setup, lasted for about 4 or 5 years. Actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Same splits.
Same splits. I know. Scary, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now looking back, it's like, Alice, why did you do that? You know, like you should have recognized that sooner, right?
Mm-hmm,
like within a year, 6 months, like this is not working, like fiscally, like this doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Right. Right.
But no, I ran that model is what I call it. That first model for, like 5-6 years. Yeah.
That is interesting. I mean, I think a lot of people, they see the big teams and I've even heard this in many cases that you see these huge teams develop and then the guy on the top is the one making the least amount.
Like that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
No,
right.
no.
So that was a learning experience for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You just see things from the outside. You're like, everything looks hunky dory, right?
Hunky dory. Yeah. And it was very disjointed, meaning like from the outside, maybe my team looked great and gravy and everything was hunky dory, but on the inside was not, meaning like the admins did not really support directly the other agents. So it wasn't a true team is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It was just like people were under me and used my logo and branding and imagery. And then I paid them a huge split, but then like, it wasn't like a team. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
And then like, they really essentially had their own book of business and clientele under my business. It wasn't converged. It wasn't integrated. It wasn't, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they were basically taking from you.
no, I wouldn't say so.
Really?
I would say like they just,
not
yes
to,
and no.
Not
I
to
mean,
sound bad for, I know they're probably
Yeah.
going to see this, but at the same time, it's like the split is
yes
pretty
and
heavy.
no. Yeah. Oh, yes. In terms of splits, yes.
Yeah.
But then to be fair, I don't think I was giving them
Gotcha. Okay.
much. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't like really coaching them. I mean, I was there if they have questions, but I wasn't mentoring them. I wasn't coaching them. There was no like formal like,
Got it.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Structure.
Right.
I wasn't giving them many leads. I don't think, it was just more of an overflow. They still had to generate their own business, more or less.
Right.
And then they weren't they weren't working with the admins. So like, it wasn't integrated at all. It was weird. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Strange.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that now. Now that you brought that all around, that's good. Okay. So that business model didn't quite work for you.
No.
So what would you have done differently?
If I could talk to 2010 Alice,
Yeah.
right? Or 2011
Yeah,
Alice,
that's a good-
around that time.
Yep.
I think I would say to her, you gotta change faster. Meaning, like, don't just let this sit there and fester and it not work for that long because it's valuable time that you're just, sitting with a model that is not good.
Yeah. So you said you were in 4 or 5 years of this.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
What about hiring on new agents? Is there a certain change that you made with that?
I would have made a more formal kind of system to hiring, just like I did with the admins.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't happen. But yeah, if I could change, that's what I would do.
Gotcha.
I would sit down and really think about critically the steps.
Yeah. I mean, this is sound advice for anybody out there that is looking to build. And I'm kind of right in the mix of this right now. This is my first year of actually bringing on a team of 4 or 5 people. And I'm experiencing those same things,
Yes.
And there's a lot of different things you learn that you wouldn't otherwise know, So
Yeah.
just listening to your advice here is just awesome. It's priceless. And I can't tell you how much it means to me for you to do that, to say that. And is there anything else in 2010 that sticks out to you?
There is, but we'll save that for next time.
Oh.
There's a story with a raccoon. So
Okay. Well, let's get to the next episode and talk about the raccoon.
Sounds
We're going to
good.
see you on the next one of Alice Chin's podcast. and we'll see you then.
Sounds good. See you then.